Minor keys are completely different from major keys. They contain multiple harmonic and melodic pathways, but that doesn't make it hard to use. I'm going to show you how minor scales are built, how the minor key works, and how to use this in your songs and compositions. Let's go. So first of all, let's take a look at the minor scale. Since we reference our numbers to the major scale, the notation for the minor scale looks like this. Let's attach some notes to it. A major would have 3 sharps, F sharp, G sharp and C sharp, and you can see that those are the notes which have been lowered in the minor scale. So they now lose those accidentals and we're left with this. And so the A minor scale and the C major scale have the same note content. The only difference is which note is the tonic. Now the distance between A and C is a minor third. And now I could ask you to figure out the notes to any minor scale already, because you already know the major scales. Let's try it out. Let's figure out D minor, okay? We want to know D minor. Well, a minor third up from D is 3, 2, 1, F. So we need the F major scale. The F major scale has 1 flat and that's B flat. So we can just fill in the blanks and add the accidental where it's needed. And now we have the D minor scale. That's how easy it is. D minor and F major are parallel scales. F major is the major parallel to D minor. D minor is the minor parallel to F major. And this is what parallel scales are. They are scales that contain the same notes. Okay? So, if you're ever wondering if you need to go a minor third up or a minor third down, you know that in the major scale, you don't have a minor third. You can't go up a minor third from the tonic in a major scale, because then you end up on new notes. But parallel scales are scales that have the same notes, so this can help you remember what to do. Let's say we already know our major parallel. It's B major. Now we need to know which minor scale has the same note content. Okay, let's try that out. B. Now we need to go down a minor third. Down a minor third. What's a minor third down from B? Well, a whole tone down is A. And a minor third is 1.5 tone, a whole tone and a semitone. So from a semitone down is G sharp. Okay? B is a scale that has sharps, not flats. So we're going to use G sharp. Now, if I were to ask you, before you knew this stuff, what's the G sharp minor scale? Then that could have caused some problems. But now you know what you should do. Let's start with the alphabetical order. Now let's add the accidentals. B has 5 sharps. You can remember B flat has 2 flats. There are 7 notes in total. If 2 are flat, that means the sharp version, everything raised, means we now have 2 natural notes and 5 sharps. The first 5 are F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, which we already had at the beginning, D sharp, and A sharp. And if you apply all that logic you know from the major scales to the minor scales, it works. This is the G sharp minor scale. It's done. Okay, now which chords does the minor scale contain? That's an interesting one. Let's take a look. We're just going to use the same logic we use for major scales. We know this is C major. We're going to treat it like A minor, but for now let's think in C major. C major has a major chord, and the order is major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. All we're doing is starting in a different place. Okay, first thing you need to notice, not just that the numbering is different, but also that we're using a flat sign to indicate this third, the 6th, and the 7th, because the number indicates the root, and we're always referencing major. So this is not just the 3 chord in the minor scale, in the minor key, it's also the chord that's on the minor third. Okay, so we have to say that that's a minor third. That's what this numbering system uses. There are other numbering systems like the natural numbering system and even others. Just learn one, learn that well, and once you do that, you can translate that knowledge to other numbering systems as well. So we'll just start with this one system, and that's going to be it for this playlist. And that's going to be all you need. Another thing you might notice, now if you put the numbers for the major key here, you can see a very important similarity. First of all, 1, 4, and 5 are all the same chord type. By this I mean if the 1 chord is major, then 4 and 5 are major. If the 1 chord is minor, then 4 and 5 are minor. This is an easy way to remember what's where. Second rule, you need to know where the diminished chord is at. The diminished chord in major is the 7th, and in minor it's the 2nd. Once you know this, you can just fill in the blanks. You don't need anything else. In a major key, you already know where the major chords are or where the diminished chord is, so everything else is minor. In a minor key, you already know where the minor chords are and where the diminished chord is, so everything else is major. So these two rules are all you need to know to remember which chord goes where. Now remember, we're discussing functional harmony. We are interested in the functions of chords. And there's one particular, very important function that's now being represented in a minor scale. We've got ourselves a tonic. No problem, tonic is represented. And even the medians to the tonics can sound a little bit tonic-y, although this one works a lot better than that one to create a tonic sound. Subdominant is just the 4. This has more of a subdominant sound than a tonic sound. But that's not really a dominant function. Like this might work, but we are used to having a 5-1 relationship, right? This is the big classic cadence, the perfect cadence. This is it in terms of tension and release. And that's all music really is in all kinds of different ways. It's tension and release. This is our basic tension and our basic release. And we don't even have the basic tension anymore. What are we going to do in a minor key if we don't have a dominant function? Well, let's first take a look at why we don't have a dominant function. The leading tone is called the leading tone because it leads us back to the tonic. It has a tension that wants to resolve back to the tonic, which you can hear like this. Okay, so there I stayed on this tension for a while before resolving it back to the tonic. This leading tone is the third of E, right? It's the third of the fifth. Oh, all these numbers. The 5 chord consists of E, G sharp, B. And so it has that G sharp, it contains that leading tone, leading us back to the tonic. In a minor key or a minor scale, we have G, not G sharp. And G doesn't pull back to the 1 quite as clearly. Listen for a second. Right? And maybe it didn't quite sound finished, this scale, but that G doesn't have the same gravity, the same pull towards A that G sharp has. Because of this, we're now stuck with E minor going to A minor, while E minor does not have that same pull back towards the tonic. So what are we going to do about that? Well, what we can do is just change that note. The cliche here is music theory describes, it doesn't prescribe. Describe, as in saying what it is instead of telling us what we should do. We just try to come up with a language that helps us formulate musical ideas and thoughts and communicate them with each other. Not rules that tell us what we can and can't do. Those are just stepping stones in order to grasp music theory more deeply. But it's not how music theory actually works. It just describes. So, composers just thought, screw it, we're gonna change that one note. We're just gonna turn it into G sharp. Okay, I removed all the chords and everything. We're just gonna turn it into G sharp. Now this scale here has been changed in order to let us have an E major chord. E major, containing the leading tone back to A, which has been kind of erased, back to A. This is the reason we came up with this scale, is to improve our harmony. And because of that, we've called this scale harmonic minor. And this is what it sounds like. Right? You've got that gravity again, that pull towards the tonic, it's back. So we've updated our minor scale and created harmonic minor. However, we're not quite done, because this creates new problems. See, the distance between these two is not a semitone, a minor second. It's not a whole tone, a major second. It's 1.5 tone, an augmented second. It sounds weird to say that, and it is weird. Augmented seconds aren't that common, not as common as semitones and whole tones. And in this case, it creates a certain sound that in movies will typically be used to get an Arabian or Spanish vibe to something. Okay, so I played around with that just for a second so you could hear the Spanish/Arabian vibe. It's not a proper representation of the musical history of those cultures, so please forgive me for butchering that. I just want to show you the sound and give you some way to remember this sound. However, for voice leading, this is horrible because we just can't bridge that gap anymore. Voice leading, remember, only wants notes that stay the same, that move by a semitone or move by a whole tone. This is more than a whole tone, so for voice leading it sucks. What you need to understand is music theory as we know it was developed in the eras of classical music, and here the ideas were melodic at first. We had a melody and then a way to come up with a melody on top of it that harmonizes with it, and then they came up with ways to make sure those melodies maintain their individualism. And then we're going to do it with 3 melodies or with 4 melodies and make sure they all stay individually distinguishable. That's quite a puzzle, and at some point we discovered that you need to make some concessions in order to make sure it all sounds good together. And gradually we shifted towards a harmonic style instead of a melodic style. We were all thinking in melodic terms, and this is not very convenient for melody. And so we changed it. We don't want this augmented second here. We have to do something about that. Now, one thing we could do is just lower G sharp back to G. However, now we still don't have a leading tone. We still have the same harmonic problems that we used to have. So what else is there to do but raise F sharp, F2, F sharp, and raise the 6th. So now we have a minor scale with a major 6th and major 7th. And this is melodic minor. So you've got minor, which is actually natural minor, there's harmonic minor, and there's melodic minor. Another thing to be aware of, that we're basically moving between natural minor and major, between minor and major, right? Because we're changing notes that make the scale look more like major. Melodic minor could be seen as a minor scale with a major 6th and major 7th. Or melodic minor could be seen as a major scale with a minor 3rd. So there's 2 ways you could think about this. Whichever works for you is fine by me. Just know that melodic minor has this minor beginning straight from the minor scale and this major ending straight from the major scale. It's a hybrid. Okay, number singing is a very important aspect here. We're going to try it for a second. Now if you go 1, 2, 3, that's major. 1, 2, 3, that's minor. You need to be able to make that difference. You have to be able to make that difference. So practice to get that. Now, instead of going up all the way to the 7th, I'm going to take the 7th below the 1. Okay? So if this is the 1, then this is major 7 and this is 1. 1, 2, 3, minor 3rd, 3, 2, 1, 7, 1, 2, 1. Or with the minor 7th, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 7, 7, 1, 2, 1, 7, 1, 2, 1, 7, 1, 2, 1. Play it for you as well. Major 7th, now. The minor 7th is a bit calmer, right? And the major 7th is a bit more dramatic. So, just 2 different sounds, it depends on what you want. And this creates a difference between scale and key. They used to be the same thing in the major scale, at least with the knowledge we've garnered so far. But in the minor key, we just can't stick to just the minor scale. A minor key is different. A minor key uses natural minor, but you can use these notes from harmonic and melodic minor to add some different flavors to either the melody or the harmony. Another thing you need to know, just because people are going to talk about music theory and you're going to pick up on it and wonder what they're talking about, in classical music, the melodic minor scale will be used ascending, with the leading tone being a semitone removed from the tonic. But when you're descending, you just use natural minor, with the minor 6th being a leading tone to the 5th. Okay? That's how it used to be used, and you could still use it that way, but more and more you also see melodic minor being used ascending and descending both the same way, just the melodic minor scale the way you just saw a second ago. And you can already choose which sound you want in which moment. So this flexibility built into the melodic scale was more like a best practice sort of rule of thumb. It's not a hard and fast rule of how the scale has to work. At least, not in my view, but classical music people, come and get me. So minor keys have this flexibility built into them, and this comes with some emotional flexibility as well. Like, what kind of vibe do you want exactly? Minor has more options than major, so that's what makes minor keys special and what makes them more complex, but as you can see, it's not that complex. So I'm gonna put you to work, but first let's put it to practice. Okay, so let's take Back to Black by Amy Winehouse. Of course, songs I'm mentioning, I'll put the link in the description below. And I'm not gonna play them fully because of copyright stuff, but I'll just play a piece and sing a little bit. D minor. Da, 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 da. G minor. Da, 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 da. B flat. Na, da, da, da. This note that I'm singing right now, that's C sharp. Now we started on D minor, in the key of D minor. And now I'm singing C sharp, and it really wants to resolve back down to 1. Okay, Amy Winehouse here is using chords from the minor scale, just minor scale, all basic natural minor stuff. Playing D minor, G minor, B flat, and then A major, the 5 chord as a major chord, and singing that leading tone that's being changed to create this specific color, okay? Later on in the chorus, we only say goodbye with words like that 100 times, da, 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 and I go, that's the leading tone again, back to black. Not sure about the melody there. But that's how Back to Black uses harmonic minor. Okay, now I'm gonna play a famous old melody from an old English song called Greensleeves. And I want you to pick out, I want you to notice when melodic minor is being used. So what I mean by that is, first you want to identify where's this leading tone coming into play, this major 7th. When am I hearing it? Just listen to the melody and see if you can pick it out. And then once you got that, if you find this major 7th, it's going to be easier to also find the major 6th, because it's below that. I'm just going to play the melody first and we'll see if you pick up on it, and I'll just review what happened afterwards. So we got this. I actually played the wrong melody there, but it doesn't matter for the explanation, so I'm just gonna leave it, but I just apologize. Okay, did you hear it? Let me know in the comments below, I'm curious. Either way, we're starting out just outlining the minor scale from 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and here we're playing an arpeggio, a broken chord. Na 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 1 3 5 3 1 for this chord. Like this 1 is the root of the chord, but it's not the tonic of the key. That was this, right? So we've got that's 4 2 7 minor 7th. Okay. Second bit of melody. That's the major 7th, the leading tone that's being used there. And this is the first half of the melody. Let's go to the second half. Okay, so that was 7, 6, 7, 1. Now that might seem like a small thing, but imagine we didn't use melodic minor, but harmonic minor, and it would sound like this. A bit weird. a bit jarring even, while this seems very natural, right? So melodic minor helps us be more melodic. Okay, that's all the information about minor keys we're going to do this lesson. Time for you to get to work. Okay, now we're going to notate some scales, or actually you're going to do it, and we'll just check once all the assignments are given what's going to happen. We'll just check afterwards what you made of it. However, we haven't done something in F clef for a while, in the bass clef. So let's notate one of these in the bass clef, just for practice sake. Don't use the accidentals that are stuck at the start of the staff, but use accidentals for each individual note and see if you can notate this entire scale. Okay, so this is a Yesterday by the Beatles. I've notated this in the form that I would call a lead sheet. Now a lead sheet contains chord simples where the chords are played and the main melody that usually the singer is singing. Often in pop music it's a singer, and that's all the information it contains. There are some things I want to point out, but first I want you to take a look and tell me if you can explain all the chords, where they're coming from, where they're derived from, or how they're functioning, or something of harmonic analysis here. Same for the notes that are not what you'd expect. They are from outside the natural minor scale or major scale. And just analyze this and tell me what you think. I know it's very free to put it like that, but I think it's important that you just take a look for yourself and try and draw conclusions from what's happening here before I start talking about it, and then I'll show you the conclusions afterwards. For now, your assignment is to analyze this harmonically, melodically, in any way you can. Analyze the heck out of it. Number singing can now be leveled up, and that's one exercise you need to go through continuously. Now, if you've been following this course so far, you were already number singing using the major scale, but now we're going to add the minor scale to it. The minor scale, not just the minor third, but also the minor sixth and the minor seventh, and you need to learn to differentiate between major third and minor third, major sixth and minor sixth, major seventh and minor seventh. Earlier, when I gave you an example, I only went down from the 1 to the 7, but we're going to use the full range eventually. Again, build it up. So you could do something like 1, 2, 3, that's a major third, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 7, 1, 2, 1. Now go to minor. 1, 2, minor third, 2, 1, 7, 1, 2, 1, 7, this is the minor seventh, 1, 2, 1, or 7, 1, 2, 1, that's the major seventh, 1, 2, 1. So this is a small range of notes we're using now. If you've nailed this, if it feels comfortable, if you can just play around with it any way you like, then you start to expand it with 1 or 2 more notes. Eventually you will just add more and more notes. Go up to the 5th, then go up to the 6th, go up to the 7th and up to 1, and then eventually also go down from the 1 to the 7 to the 6 and to the 5. If you can go to the 5th below the tonic and to the octave above the tonic, then you've got a good range. Okay, if you can sing all your notes and know the numbers in this entire range, then you're done, you're set. Try and make clear differences between minor third and major third, minor sixth and major sixth. This skill will help you figure out bass notes, figure out roots, figure out added notes to chords. We haven't even gotten to 7th chords yet. We're certainly not getting to chords with added notes just yet, but it's gonna come at some point. And when you're gonna hear a dominant chord, which you don't even know what that is yet, at least if all your information is coming from this course, but if you're gonna use a dominant chord with like an augmented 9th and a flat 13, how are you gonna pick up on that stuff if you can't even sing those notes? Because singing those notes lets you grasp the sound and remember that sound and label that sound so you can pick it up whenever you want to. And now when I play this messed up chord and you hear this flat 13, you might be able to recognize it. At the very least, when you can just hear the note, sing it, and then use number singing to go down or up to the root. This process is what you need to try and figure out chords in general. And melodies, don't get me wrong, melody will need this as well, but also harmony. And so number singing, it might seem boring, I hope it doesn't, because it's actually a lot of fun, it's just melodic improvisation, but being conscious of what you're doing. But it's also a very vital skill to develop in order for your harmonic ear. Okay, so practice it. Next assignment, Now that you're already practicing number singing, of course you also need to apply all this knowledge to your instrument, whether it's guitar or piano or bass, violin, flute, I don't care. Whichever instrument is your instrument, you have to practice all these scales on it. You have to be able to play the major scale, but the minor scale, it's going to be very much like the major scale, as in it has the same note content. So something like fingerings might be the same. However, that's not true for harmonic minor or melodic minor. Those scales are actually different and you're going to have different finger patterns. So practice those scales. It's important because otherwise you might have ideas but you can't get them out of your fingers. You can't play them and that would suck. You would rather become fluent in music, and in order to become fluent in music you're going to have to play this stuff at some point. Even if you're not going to use it that much in the music you're going to make 20 years from now, not that you have any idea who you're going to be 20 years from now, but say you would know, and you would know that you're never going to use harmonic minor, even then, wouldn't you rather have the option and then say no to that option, rather than just not being able to play harmonic minor at all and just, well, it is what it is, and it's just unnecessary. But you can do more. Play those patterns, learn those new scales, just play through them, and in a couple weeks, maybe a couple months at most, you'll have those patterns in your fingers. And you can still practice speeding it up and becoming technically more gifted, but at least you will know how they're played. Okay? So, get practicing. Last assignment already. Now, you've already added this melodic and harmonic material to your toolbox, right? You've done it through number singing, you've practiced this, you've trained your understanding by calculating all this stuff. Now what? Well, now apply it in improvisations. And when you're improvising and you find a melody or a chord progression or a combination of them actually that you like, of course, notate it. And by notating it, you've composed. So once again, I ask you, compose something in a minor key. It's different. It's different than the major key. It's going to give different feelings, it's going to give different options, and you need to become acquainted with this stuff. So start composing in a minor key. And I would love to hear the results. Anyway, those are all the assignments, so let's get to the answers in 3, 2, 1. Forgetting one thing, I particularly suggest you use the major 5 chord instead of the minor 5 chord somewhere in your composition. If you also want to use minor 5, fine. If you don't want to use the major 5 all the time, like fine, do what you want, just make something you like. But try that major 5 out in a minor key, because it's vital. It's such a well-known and commonly used harmonic device that you've heard pretty often. You're going to be able to use it in some way, shape or form, and it's going to sound great. Just expose yourself to that stuff. Okay, let's get to answering this. I'll show you how I go about it. B flat, first I need to know where the note B flat is. Now I could start here in the center and then move up, but I think I'm going to need too many ledger lines then. So rather I would just start at this B flat. I'll just use whole notes, it's easier to draw. This B flat, it has to be flattened though, because middle C is here. So you can put B flat below that, and once we're above this ledger line, we don't need any more ledger lines, and for the rest of the scale we don't need any at all. So first I'll draw all the notes. B, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, of course. Now, I only added the accidental to the B flat because we know that one. I'm curious about the rest. Now, melodic minor, one way to conceptualize it is that it's a major scale with a minor third, right? B flat major has B flat and E flat. All we need then is to lower the third to make it a minor third. And we're done. Another way could have been to add the flat signs to the 6th and 7th as well, and then make the entire B flat minor scale. In case you did that, B flat minor is D flat major, so that's 5 flats. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat. You would have had all of those. The A flat and G flat would have been removed once you turn it into melodic minor. So that's 2 ways you can go about this. This is how I did it. G harmonic minor, we're just going to start on a G. I think this is the most straightforward G to start on. we're just gonna draw all the notes before we go anywhere else. So now we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but we need G harmonic minor. Well, that's a minor third, a minor sixth, and a major seventh. Now, right now, after the fifth D comes E, that's a whole tone, right? And E is also in the G major scale, so this is a major sixth. We need a minor sixth. F to G, that's a whole tone apart, whereas the leading tone is a leading tone because it's a semitone apart. This has to be F sharp. The G major scale also has an F sharp, right? So now you see a scale that has flats and sharps. Suddenly they can be combined because we're using weird scales like harmonic minor. Okay, if you stumbled upon this and thought you were wrong, nope, you were right. This is right. Okay, C sharp melodic minor. Now that's C sharp melodic minor. This is my teacher's sadism that's being at full display here to make you do this. First of all, we need to know where C is. Now, if you remember, going to the F clef, I hope you took into account that we're notating an F clef. Otherwise, try it again, pause the video, do it again, and then come back to this. But otherwise, we're transporting each note from the G clef down one line. So here we've got F on the top line, and here we've got F on the line below it, right? So you transport it down one space, or two spaces, so to speak. So, usually C is here. Now we've got C here. Okay? C sharp, by the way, but we'll get to that in a second. First, I'll notate all the notes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and of course middle C is our octave. Then we're going to need the accidentals to turn it into the correct scale. Now C sharp major has 7 sharps. How do I know that? Well, C major has nothing. So if we're going to raise every single note, then all 7 are going to have a sharp, are going to have an accidental, and sharp in this case. But melodic minor doesn't raise the third, so the third is lower than in major. In other words, I'll put a sharp sign everywhere, except on the third, because that needs to be lower because it's melodic minor. And this is one way you can go about it. If you took this approach, again, let's do it for G as well. G minor would equate to what's a minor third up from G, that's B flat. So that would be B flat major. C sharp minor would translate to E major. So if you are wondering why you had certain accidentals wrong, maybe this is the step that you had wrong. Immediately we can just continue to yesterday and talk about what on earth is going on here. Now, first of all, we're starting on an F major chord, and the accidentals indicate we're in the key of F major or D minor. Starting on an F major, it really looks like we're in the key of F major. However, here we're moving to D minor. You've got the dominant of D minor right before it, and then this weird E minor chord. What are we to make of this? Well, this is what you need to play if you're going to have this melody. Here we're moving up from A to B to C sharp to D. Wait, I'm just going to notate it here. A, B, C sharp, D. This would be the 1, the major 7th, the major 6th, and the 5th in the key of D minor. Right? That's how we get these weird little notes. We're using D melodic minor just to get this little moment. However, if we're going to do that, A7 comes here, so the C sharp is accounted for. But what are we going to do with this B? If we're going to play E diminished and sing a B over it, then E diminished being E, G, B flat, does not have that B and is going to clash. So instead, we're going to use the notes that are represented in the melody. And this is one of the reasons composers say melody is king. Everything else follows the melody, but the melody is what it's all about. So We just changed this chord in order to use the melodic minor scale. You could also say E minor was derived from the melodic minor, but I think that's missing the point. That puts too much emphasis on the idea that a melodic minor scale can be used to create chords, although you can, I'm not saying you can't, but that's not really what went on here. The melody was melodic minor, and the chords had to fit in order to allow us to sing this thing we want to sing. Second thing I need to point out. I don't think I've shown you these little arcs here, these little extensions. They're ways to take two notes and stick them together. Far away, that's just one long way starting here. That's one long note. That's just a way to stick two notes together. Next thing to point out, this here might be weird to you, because this is a chord with its seventh as a bass note. We haven't discussed seventh chords yet, and we will very soon, but we haven't just yet. Just know that this is also an option. It's fine. Anything else we need to point out? I don't think there is. I am curious to see what you guys came up with, because you guys might have analyzed something that I didn't take into account, or that I missed, or that I didn't think you would spot. So if you've analyzed stuff and I didn't talk about it, please let me know in the comments. I would love to share my thoughts. Okay, so as far as number singing is concerned and practicing these scales on your instrument and compositions, I can't check it in this video. Obviously, of course I can't. But I would love it if you would share your compositions in the comments below, or if you just let me know how it's going and what you're struggling with maybe, or what's going really well for you. I would love to give you guys feedback, and I also would love to get some feedback on what I'm doing right or wrong here. So please let me know. Okay, time for the recap. Now, first of all, let's remember minor and major parallels. And that you need a minor third to go up from a minor key to a major parallel, or from a major key to its minor parallel. You need to go down a minor third then, okay? Because you want the same note content. You can't go up when you're in a major key, because you don't get the same note content then. A major key is major because it has a major third. But you need to move by a minor third. So when you're in a major and you want to know the minor parallel, you can't go up, you need to go down. When you're in a minor scale or key and you want to know the major parallel, then you need to go up, because it already has a minor third. Of course you're going to go up a minor third, you land on a note you already have. Okay, so the same note content, that's important here. Now if you're making scales or thinking about those keys, 1, 4 and 5 will be the same chord type. If 1 is major, then 4 and 5 are major. If 1 is minor, then 4 or 5 will be minor. We know there are exceptions, but the basic chords are this. Now to fill in all the chords, you just need to remember where the dim chord goes. In the major key it's the 7th chord, in the minor key it's the 2nd chord. Then we've learned about the natural minor scale, the harmonic minor scale and the melodic minor scales. Those are all scales, but together they make the minor key, which has this flexibility in the 6th and the 7th. And the idea that melodic minor is melodic minor ascending, but natural minor descending is kind of an old idea, and you don't need to use it, but at least you know that it's there and you can play around with it, because it's a sound you can use. Also, don't forget, harmonic minor is called harmonic minor because we changed the natural minor scale for a harmonic reason. We wanted to get our dominant function back. And then we created some melodic difficulties because of that, so we changed the scale again, creating melodic minor. Okay? And that's all you need to know about minor keys. That's the recap. Mastering both major keys and minor keys is an incredibly solid foundation to build on top of. Heck, it's more than just a foundation, we're already diving deeper into the inner workings of music. And we're only going to go deeper and deeper. The next lesson is about 7th chords, so click here to check it out or subscribe if it's not available yet and you don't want to miss out. See you next time, and now go make some music.